Welcome, everyone, to the Success Elevated podcast. As always, I'm your host, Hayden Lee, and I am joined this week by a very special guest, owner and creator of the Haircut Box, Ashlie Sutton. Ashlie, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
This is really, really fun for me, and it's especially fun. The last your episode and then our previous week's episode, really, really fun for my wife. This has kind of become her podcast. Is a big fan of yours. She loves what you do with social media content and everything that you've done there. And anyways, we're really excited to have you on. This is going to be really cool. So
it'll be so fun. I'm excited to have this conversation. It'll be
very cool.
Tell your wife too. I love it.
Yes. So let's kind of dive in a little bit, Ashlie. I wanted to talk about kind of what the Haircut Box is. And I think we would be remiss if we just kind of started with the Haircut Box, because I'm sure there was quite the buildup to that before it kind of got to what it is today. So if you wouldn't mind, speak a little bit about maybe kind of the genesis behind the Haircut Box, what it is, why you started it, and yeah, kind of talk about your journey to, I guess, where you are today.
Awesome. Well, do you have 3 hours?
We've got as much time as you want to give me, Ashlie. I'm good for whatever.
So I actually am a professional hairstylist, and I did hair professionally for 14 years. And honestly, it was the same thing every single time when moms would come in. It was stressful for them to bring their kids in, and it was expensive, and they hated doing it. And quite honestly, I hated doing it. I couldn't make as much money because I really wanted to do colors and not worry about busy little kids in my chair.
Yeah.
And so that was from that perspective. And then being from a mom perspective, I mean, not a lot of us have a lot of money to just blow and go. And, we all want to be doing fun things. We all want fun things. And so we've always figured out a way, or tried to spend our money in a way that we wanted to, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so always kind of try to find ways that we could cut where we could so we could spend where we wanted. And one of those ways was haircuts, obviously. And so, as my brain started turning, all those years doing hair and all those years of kind of being like a frugal family in certain ways, I just kept thinking, like, there's got to be something more that I could do and more people that I could help. And so the idea of creating a haircut box to combine all of those things came into play, because I wanted a way for families to be able to spend their money wisely, and families to be able to save where they could so they could spend where they wanted. We've always been guilty of playing really hard. And so throughout the years,
it's
a good thing to be guilty for.
Yeah.
Throughout the years, a lot of people have been, made a lot of comments of, man, we really wish that we could have money to do that.
Right.
And in my brain, I'm like, we've been blessed, but we really don't have tons of extra money to be able to do whatever we want. It's just in choices that we've made. And so I feel like this is such an easy way for families to also have quote unquote extra money.
Right.
So as a hairstylist, I was like, okay, but if I'm going to do this, I want to make sure that it's good, because I've seen a lot of at-home haircuts that aren't very good. I'm like,
right.
If I'm going to do this, I want to do it in a way that I want to teach people how to give cool haircuts, because we all want cool looking.
Oh, we all 100%.
We all want that. And so that's kind of how the Haircut Box was born and created, was through me living those two separate ends of the spectrum and combining that.
It's really, really cool. Yeah. I mean, you speak to some really interesting points there that I want to maybe highlight a little bit, but yeah, like the whole idea behind like an at-home haircut was to, save time and save money. Right. Especially right. I picture it for a lot of like a lot of moms, right? Like my mom cut my hair as a kid to like save time and save money, because she would have had to cut my hair. She would have had to take me in every, 3 or 4 weeks to get a haircut as a kid. And and yeah, and you know, she wasn't professionally trained. She wasn't a hairstylist in any way. She bought some clippers at a store and like gave the very like, you know, I'm going to do a one length everywhere and then do the sides a little bit shorter, kind of a buzz cut, you know?
Yeah,
And guess
totally.
what? As a kid, it was great. But I love the idea that like you're adding in like this professional element and like, okay, I'm going to maybe, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, Ashley, because I don't know haircuts, but um, cutting a small, like boys, cutting a kid's, like a boy's hair is
Huh?
much easier than cutting like a little girl's hair. And correct me if I'm wrong.
Totally. Well, okay. So I feel like a girl's haircut is pretty base. Like a basic girl's haircut is easy.
Okay,
Now,
gotcha. See that's why you're the professional. I'm gonna defer to the professional here. Yeah,
they can get way more complicated.
yeah,
So a boy's hair does not need to be tricky. It
right.
does not need to be that hard. And I feel like that's what I try to push. And I feel like that's kind of like my bread and butter. Like
Yeah,
being a, I'm like, I can teach you and break down these little steps into simple doable steps. I mean, if you look at a full haircut, a lot of times it can be overwhelming. And I feel like that's where I come in to completely break it down. And we've had such overwhelming feedback of, I had no idea that it could be this easy. I had no idea that I could give such a cool haircut with
right.
all of these steps. So that's been
So
cool.
it's
And what you said earlier about your mom cutting your hair, I am blown away to learn at how many people A are already giving home haircuts and B, they had home haircuts all growing up.
yep, yep. I don't think I went. I mean, there was probably the occasional time where like my mom would be like, I don't have time. We're gonna take you in somewhere, right? But like
Right.
it was my mom or my grandma was cutting my hair growing up every time, and like yeah, it was just it was the easiest, obviously most cost effective way. You know, we'd go to grandma's for Sunday dinner, and you know, I would very sheepishly walk, Grandma, I haven't had a haircut for 2 months. Could I get a haircut, please?
So
Like, you know, I love the idea of behind the haircut box because it offers like, hey, you've got these people that are already doing this. They're already cutting their kids' hair. They're already trying to make it work. Now we're just going to give them a little extra. Like we're going to give them some training and some tips and like some simple steps. Hey, follow these steps and you're going to give your kid a salon quality haircut, but in your house, you know?
So interesting, Hayden. When I was actually putting this together, I had just the average American family in mind.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, I love to stretch my dollar, but I also want quality. And
Yep.
I've heard a lot of like negative home haircut experiences, and that's what I wanted to avoid. And so when I was putting it together with all the tools, I bought tools of every price point. I bought the $20 kit that people are like, I can do this with a $20 kit.
Right.
I bought the $400 clippers that
Yeah.
some, and I literally spent thousands of dollars for in between. And I gave haircut after haircut after haircut and just did my personal research because I wanted to make sure that I put quality tools in there that would last a long time, wouldn't pull the hair, would help with the experience, and would last longer than the $20 cut. And doing hair for so long, it was nearly impossible for me to get a salon quality haircut with cheap clippers,
Yeah.
knowing exactly what I was doing.
Yeah.
And so what I want to happen is I didn't want people to invest in this box, have a crappy experience, and then throw their hands up and be like, I tried, I couldn't do it. I wanted to put in stuff that it was like, these tools actually help you get a good haircut.
Yeah.
That was a fun part for me to do that personal experience, and it also helped me be able to confidently sell these boxes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
You've got to believe in that
right?
product. And that's, you know, you've hit at some really cool things here. I want to kind of dive in a little bit now, like into kind of the business side of it. So you have this awesome idea. You see a need, I guess, out in the world where like you've got friends and family. They're like, I can't afford to take my kids in for a haircut. So like you see this need, you come up with this idea. What was kind of the first step for you to kind of turn a really cool idea into a business? Like, what did you do? Who did you talk to? What did that look like the first, you know, few months trying to do this?
Well, first of all, it was the scariest, hardest thing I've ever done.
Yes, yes.
I felt a soul for like 2 months.
Okay.
The first 2 months that I was working like sun up to sundown in research and all this, I'm like, I'm so scared of telling anyone about this idea in case someone thinks it's dumb that I was like, I'm going to try to get this to go. Um, I did a lot of research. I did a
Okay.
ton of research. I actually have this brilliant brother-in-law who is really good at analytical research, and he helped me put together a national survey.
That's
And it was
cool.
all the things on what people would want, what people wouldn't want, if this was even something that they would be interested in. And we hit a ton of different questions and a ton of different demographics, and the response came back so positive. And it was like one of those things where it was like, oh my gosh, this idea could maybe go.
Yeah.
Like this, yeah, like I knew that it was a need, but um after we did that national research survey, it was like, okay, this is going to be good. And so I just started with, I wrote down a list of the hundreds of things basically that I needed to get done and what I could start working on. So of course I started working on the research of the tools, what I wanted in the box.
Right.
Uh, that was that was a huge undertaking. Like I said, I tried tons of things out, even on the clip or on the scissors. I could not for the life of me find a pair of scissors that was cost effective in my brain. And so I went out to start manufacturing my own.
That's
Um,
cool.
I had never, I mean, I've always worked and I was a cosmetologist, so I did have a business in a sense, but I had never done anything like this. And so I had about 1,000 dead ends. I would just reach out and send hundreds of emails and contact people. And, every dead end was a little defeating, but it kind of was a step forward, if that makes sense.
No, totally. Yeah.
So the product research and then reaching out to manufacturers. And then I started putting my cosmetology brain into like an average American, you know what I mean? Like, how will they be able to understand this terminology? And so
Yeah.
I started
Yeah.
taking notes and wrote down everything that I was doing step by step. And then I would have someone who had no idea how to cut hair read it. And then we'd have to go back and simplify and
That's awesome. Yes,
uh,
that's great.
that. And then the website development.
Right.
I'm so not technologically solid or savvy. And so I had someone do that. And so what I learned is, yeah, I had to learn a lot of new things. I mean, the amount of things that were scary and hard and overwhelming are just insane. But what I also learned was I don't have to be an expert in every field.
Yeah.
Because there's people that are experts in every field. There's website developments, there's product developers, there's all these things. And I just need to find those people. So that's how I worked, honestly, it was probably the hardest 5 months because I didn't even know that it was going to be a go,
right.
but I'm making sure that the roots were deep and the base was solid.
No, you hit at something that's so important there that I think, I don't own a small business. So people that might be listening need to take this for what it's worth, but I like be willing to like reach out to other experts in the industry. Like you hit it on the head. So perfect. You might not be an expert in building a website and manufacturing scissors, right? But like you were able to find experts in the industry that could help you. That could do those things. Like be willing to reach out for help. I think there's a lot of this like hustle and grind mentality in the small business world. That's like, you need to work harder. You need to be better. You're not doing, you've got to do it all yourself kind of a mentality.
Yeah.
And that just sets people up to fail if that's
Yeah.
what you really try to do. And I love all of like the research that you did and all that went into it. Was there a little bit, you did a ton of homework, it sounds like, before you even sold your first box.
Totally.
Was there, even after you started selling some of these boxes, was there some trial and error after that? Like, what did that look like as you started selling some of those first boxes? What did it kind of look like for you to grow the business after that? Was there some trial and error periods? Like, what did that all look like?
Yes. So, I mean, honestly, not not much.
Because you did all the homework beforehand. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a little guilty of, I want to do it all. I want to, you know, I was raised by like this superwoman who I feel like my mom did it all. And so I'm like kind of
Right.
wired that way. And so that's been a learning process for me. But as far as the trial and error, I feel like also as a small business owner, it's my baby,
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
but you also have to look at it from a bird's eye view of, let's be realistic of how this is, and be open to constructive criticism from others. Like be open to listening to your customers. Like if they want something different, be willing to be, you know, invest in that a little bit. But as far as the trial and error, I mean, I launched my business a week before COVID shut the world down. And literally 5 months.
It's not funny, but it's the
But
timing. Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so I had no idea. So trying to get products was nearly impossible. And so I had, you know, I had a handful of things that I knew that I would be confident in putting in the box. So we did switch tools once.
Okay.
I felt very confident in the switch because it was one of them just was not ever going to be manufactured again. And
Yeah.
so there was choice, but I also, that wasn't that bad of a trial and error because I was already confident because I'd already tried that product. But the other thing that I was told, but I didn't believe when I started my business, was you will constantly be evolving your business. And I'm like, no, like
Once I got it, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be just like a home run out the gates. And even though I felt like it was, we've done some tweaks here and there. And I can't remember the exact saying, but it was like, make your decision for that time and then be okay to adjust that decision down the road. So we've done a few things. I mean, the bulk of it has stayed the same, which I'm so grateful for, that solid base and those deep roots that I did at the beginning, because little minor adjustments don't matter that much.
Right. They don't. Those minor adjustments, don't bother you all that much because you're
Right.
you're used to the change.
Right. And you know, and I also built this business off of the purpose of the box.
Yeah.
And that's what I always go back to. Anytime I make a big decision or a small decision, I think, does this align with the purpose of the box?
Wow.
If it does,
yeah.
it doesn't, it's an easy decision. So I've kind of taken out the drama of the decision processes and the small changes, because if it doesn't align with what I created it for, then the answer is an easy no.
Oh, that's so crucial, Ashlie. We you know, at Spot On Solutions, our purpose, our vision, which, you know, our Katie and Derek and Michael, my bosses, they kind of came up with their vision has been to elevate people and businesses, right? They're driven to elevate people and businesses. And so 100%, anytime we have, like, we're getting ready right now to do our big kind of quarterly planning meeting. We do that once a quarter to discuss, okay, how we can grow the business. What are we doing good? What are we doing bad? And we always go back to, what is our vision? Like, are we elevating people and businesses? What can we do better to elevate people and businesses? And sometimes those people are internal, right? Like sometimes it's our employees. Like, how can we elevate them to be the best that they can be? And like, I wanted to make sure people don't miss that. Like, have a purpose. Like, have a purpose that you can reference back to when you start a business, because it's going to be so crucial down the road. Like you said, even if it's something as simple as like deciding what product to sell, or something like, hey, does this align with my purpose? And if it does, great. If it doesn't, hey, it's a 100% no. If it doesn't align with my purpose, we're not going to do it. Like, it's just so crucial.
And I also think that having a purpose to your product, to your business, or anything is so crucial, because there are times that I've been like, burn the ships. This is so, burn the ships.
Let's be done.
Yes, I can't do this anymore. But the purpose is what keeps you grounded, of like, this is this keeps us going, and this purpose is so much bigger than, I always say the purpose is so much bigger than my product.
Yep.
And so I mean, I obviously love our boxes, but the purpose is what keeps everything going and keeps it together and keeps all the work worth it.
Oh, so great. So great. I don't want to keep you too long. I wanted to kind of dive in a little bit further into a couple of things. I think the first big thing, as you've kind of grown this business into what it is today, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong again, Ashlie, that like social media has been a big part of that. How have you been able to leverage, because your business is kind of a hybrid, like service industry, as well as like a product that you're selling. So like, you've got to have great customer service, but the product's got to be good. And, and it's kind of the hybrid of the two. How has like social media really, how have you been able to like leverage it to really help you grow? What have been some key steps along the way with social media to kind of help grow your business?
Well, okay. So my product is solely social media.
Okay.
And when I launched, I had 700 followers.
Okay.
I felt like that was massive. I mean, I
Yeah.
thought,
Oh yeah.
talking to 700 people, and probably one of the main things that has helped me grow is just to consistently put out value.
Okay.
There have been some months that I haven't grown a single follower.
Yeah.
And it's been frustrating, but I just keep thinking, if I put out value, the right people will come. And so, I've got 4 kids of my own. And so I don't really have time to just sit and watch fluff and meaningless stuff.
Yep.
And so that's the other thing that I really try to hone in on is value, value, value. I also got some good advice of give your best knowledge away for free.
That's cool.
Which kind of contradicts being a business owner.
100%.
But, I feel like I really try to run this business of how I would want someone to run a business. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Would want, so it's like, okay, I could easily charge for all of this knowledge that I'm putting out there, because kind of like you said, when we were talking about before this, there are so many hours that go into just one tutorial. Like say a 5 tutorial, that probably takes 3 hours out of my time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, but I'm going to give that away for free because I truly want people to succeed.
Yeah.
Like I truly want people to get this box and to glean this knowledge and try to get as good as they can. And so I'm willing to give that away for free. And so I feel like that's kind of been the underlining thing for the success, I guess, on social media is giving away so much free knowledge and so much knowledge, valuable knowledge. From a business point, I have done a lot of affiliate marketing, and that's been absolutely incredible. And I've got such a solid base of affiliates. And the really cool thing about how I do affiliate marketing is I've just put on blinders. I remember the first month someone was like, "Do you have any affiliates?" And I had to Google what the word meant. I'm like, "What is an affiliate? I don't even know what this is."
Yes.
And so I really haven't looked outside of what to do it. I'm like, hey, I'm going to do this how I want to do this and how I would want to be an affiliate. And it's been really cool. And I can't even believe how blessed I am to have people that have come to me and say, I really want to be an affiliate because I believe in your purpose. I believe in your box. And so I've been really blessed that way. And then the other thing, I've just, once again, like without getting emotional, I can't even begin to express the gratefulness, I guess, for people that, probably like your wife. I'm on the podcast because your wife. And so people that have been telling their friends and their family, and just word of mouth has been insanely cool.
Oh, so
and that's
awesome.
How we've grown. And oh my gosh, I can't even ever talk about that without because I keep thinking people are so good. People are so good, and they just I always think like a rising tide lifts others. And it's like, if people are willing to tell their friends and their family about something that they love, it just is, it's pretty cool how exponentially that effect can have on others.
Oh yeah. You hit it something there. A big part of our audience, or a huge part of Spot On Solutions, who our audience is, are guys that are people that own restoration companies, right? So they're dealing with water damage, mold damage in people's homes. And we often talk to them about growing their business through like referral partners and through
Mm.
partnering up with other affiliates, for lack of a better term, right?
Yeah.
And you hit at something there that I want to make sure they hear, even though it might not sound like it relates a lot to them because they don't necessarily use the social media as effective as you do.
Uh-huh.
But you hit at something there, like you work with affiliates how you would want them to work with you, right? Like it's this very like mirrored relationship. Like, okay, how would I want someone to build a relationship with me? Okay, that's what I'm going to do with the affiliates that I want to work with, right? And I think
Right.
it goes the same for restoration partners. So restoration companies, a lot of times their affiliates are like maybe insurance adjusters
Mhm.
or like plumbers, right? Because somebody calls in a plumber for a leak and then they find out there's water damage. They want that plumber to then call them.
Right.
So I think a big lesson here would be like, hey, like if you want to build a relationship with a plumber in your area, you need to think how you would want that plumber to build a relationship with you, right? Like how would you want to be treated? And it's the golden rule. It's what we're taught from since like we're little kids, right? But like it really is so true. Like treat others how you would want to be treated. And
Totally.
that's how you're going to build like a long lasting, successful relationship, whether it's just for personal reasons or for like to grow your business. Like have that in mind. Like how would I want to be treated? That's how I'm going to treat people around me. And it really ends up being like so crucial. So I
Right.
love how important people are to you, Ashlie. That really
Oh,
is people are everything. And it's I think it's oftentimes missed in the business world. So
for sure. For
yeah.
sure.
Um, I want to kind of this is kind of the last kind of chunk that I wanted to talk about before we dive in kind of to the rapid fire questions here at the end. But what's the future, Ashlie? What's the future of the haircut box? What are you hoping for down the road? Do you have a retirement plan set up? Like what's the goal eventually with this, right? Are you going to give it to your kids? Like what are you hoping for the future of the haircut box?
Oh man. Oh, I've got so many big dreams, and it feels scary to write them down, scarier to like say them out loud.
Okay.
Uh, I like jump back into like the first 5 months of doing research. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is scary. But I mean, I never in a million years dreamed that a business that I started would be scaled so quickly and be so successful so quickly. And I think the sky's the limit for the haircut box.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, and I just want to keep scaling it and keep growing it. And I want to reach all of these moms and dads and families. And I just think, I mean, all the testimonials and messages that I get back of, this family has never been able to go out to eat as a family. They've never had the extra means. And as small as that seems and insignificant as that seems to some of us, that was huge for them. And they're like, with our haircut box savings this month, we were able to go out as a family, or one was able to go on a trip, or one mom was like, I've never been able to get my hair done professionally, and I just saved $80 cutting my kids hair. I'm going to go do that for myself.
Yeah.
So that right there is like, every family needs this regardless of what the experience is. Another really special one was, I had a girl that her brother was deep in depression, and she was like, this has been the most beautiful thing for our relationship because it's helped pull him out, because we've had that time to connect and talk during the haircut. And
Yeah.
there's just so many facets of why this is such a good thing for families. And so with that, I just think I've got FOMO for other people, to be honest. What if I see
Yeah.
a good thing, you're like, it's affecting someone in a good way, I want everyone to have it. And so the sky's the limit. I mean, we would love to get into big box stores. We really would. We'd love to get on bigger social platforms to sell. Um, I would love to have my own warehouse. I would love to just push this out.
Right.
I am I've talked to the kids a lot about it, and I'm like, you guys, this could be like, I would love to turn this over to you.
Yeah.
I would love to have this business grown and turn this over to you to do so many things. And my little boy's like, I'm not cutting hair. And I'm like, okay, the financial business part. And then my little girl's like, I can cut hair. So
Yeah.
anyway, it's just fun to watch my kids see it. And that's, I mean, isn't that the dream? I just want to set something up for my kids' future, and they're my retirement plan, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
they're gonna take this and ride it off into the sunset, right? Like that is so cool, Ashley. Thanks for. I mean, it's probably hard to visualize a lot of that just because you are. I mean, you've been going for 2 years, right? So it's probably hard to really. But like you said, I think the sky is the limit. I mean, just the amount of rapid growth that you've seen in the last 2 years. Like, I mean, it probably feels scary to put some of it down on paper, but I think you guys can do it. There's no reason that you guys can't accomplish the goals that you have. And I don't know. It's fun to kind of watch and be a fly on the wall as it happens. It's just, I'm really excited for the future and what you guys are going to do. So
thank you. Us too. We are excited. And, it's been fun because it's really evolved our brains of what could happen.
Oh yeah.
I think the biggest downfall with people is they shut their dreams down even before they get off the ground.
Yeah.
And so now that we've seen this, it's like, I can do that.
Yep. You can dream big. You can dream big. Yep.
Yeah. It's just like helped all of us dream a little bit bigger in literally every area in our lives. So it's been cool.
So cool. Well, Ashley, I don't want to keep you for too much longer. So I'm going to finish with the 3 questions I ask everybody that I have on the podcast. Okay. You ready? So first question, favorite book or podcast that you're reading or listening to right now?
Currently, I am reading Atomic Habits.
Yes. Love it. Oh, it's my boss, Katie Harris. It is her, like one of her all-time favorite books. And she talks about it all the time. Loves it.
Yes, it is so good. It just like breaks it down so simple. And I'm like, I can do this. I can do this. Like, this is great. So I love that book. I feel like everyone should read that book.
Okay. Atomic Habits. It's a great recommendation. 2, Ashley, you're a mom, you're a business owner, you've got a lot on your plate. How do you like relax and recharge at the end of a long day? If you even do that, I hope you're doing it. But
I'm gonna have to Google what that means. No.
what is recharge? Yeah.
Recharge, honestly, like I said earlier, we're guilty of playing a lot.
Love it.
And that is my way to recharge.
Okay.
We love to be out on the boat.
Cool.
And, and it's both ways. Like if I'm out on the boat, I can't work.
Yeah.
So it's all, I have to turn work off, and that I love to boat. I love to be up in the mountains. I love to go on horse rides and a razor ride. And yeah, so I would say boating, I would say razor, I would say horses, just anywhere in nature.
Anything outside. Yeah, that's a great. That ends up happening for me a lot as well. That kind of ends up how I shut off my brain a little bit and do that. It can sometimes be hard a little bit in the winter in Idaho. We're both in Idaho, so it can, summers it's great for that. Winters you got to get a little more creative sometimes, but that's how it goes. So, okay, last question, Ashley. There's a lot that can kind of go into this question, but I really kind of want to sum it up. So if you could rewind to the beginning of your career, whether it's the beginning of cutting hair, right, cosmetology, or if it's the beginning of just the haircut box, if you could rewind to the beginning of it all and tell yourself one thing, what would it be?
I would say that I am in charge of my timelines.
Love it.
I am the only in charge of when things need to be done. I'm the only one in charge of putting that stress on myself. And so as a business owner, we always want to do more and more and more, but it's not worth it if it takes the fun out of it.
Right.
And so I would tell myself that I'm the only one in charge of those deadlines, and to put your blinders on and do it how you want to do it.
Love it.
There's 1,000 businesses that we could glean from. And I think that also is important, to not recreate the wheel. But at the end of the day, when it's your baby, you get to decide how to do it. You get to decide how to raise it. You get to decide what is important to you and what isn't important to you. And even now I have to remind myself often, just put those blinders on.
Yep.
You're doing the best you can do, and go for it. I would also, sorry, you said one thing. Now I've said 3 things.
Nope, you're good.
I'm not super good about following rules sometimes. The third thing, though, is to celebrate every bit of success.
It's cool. It's very cool.
Celebrate it all.
Oh yeah. I think, again, I think we get caught up in too many big goals, right? Like a big picture, like celebrate the little successes. That's just as important, because the little successes are how you reach the big goals. So exactly. It's awesome. Ashlie, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. You've given us some really, really awesome insights. I know people are going to really get some good value out of this podcast. And really that's been my whole goal is, we get a front row seat to some really cool people and some really cool business owners. And I hope that, whatever small listening audience we might have, can get some value. And I know they're going to get some awesome value out of this podcast. Thank you again, just so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. That was so much fun.
Oh, it's great. I hope to have you on again, and we can talk about what it's like to give the business to your kids maybe at some point, right? We're going to have you on again. Love it. Love it, Ashlie. Thanks again for coming on, and we'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks, Hayden.
This has been Success Elevated, making you a little bit better one show at a time. Thanks for joining us. Subscribe on any major podcast platform, or check out our website at successonpoint.com.